Are you ready?
The main event of this year's WrestleMania is one that is causing a lot of speculation. Will it be Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship? Will it be Ronda Rousey and Kurt Angle versus Triple H and Stephanie McMahon? Or will it be, which in my opinion, the rightful main event of WrestleMania 34, and that is AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura? When you win the Royal Rumble, you get to main event WrestleMania, and in my opinion, the main event should be the match that goes on last. There has been instances where the main event isn't actually the last match on the card, but generally that is what we come to expect, and that is how it has always been, or generally always been when it comes to the Royal Rumble. The winner of the Royal Rumble goes on last at WrestleMania. If we think back to the Attitude Era, we didn't get Stone Cold Steve Austin versus The Undertaker for the WWF Championship, and then the last match of the show was D'Lo Brown versus Val Venis. That just didn't happen. We got The Undertaker versus Austin in the main event, the last match of the show, and in my opinion, that is how it should be. Now before we get started, this is technically a bonus entry, number 11 if you will, and that is Yokozuna. Yokozuna has been in 3 WrestleMania main events, however 2 of them were on the same pay-per-view, one match after another. So some people might class that as one main event, some people class it as 2, so it's technically his main event to 2 or 3 WrestleManias, depending how you look at it. So that's a bonus entry. Now let's get into the main part of the list. My name is Doodles, you're watching Break It Down Wrestling, and this is the 10 wrestlers that main evented the most WrestleManias. Coming in at number 10 is the Macho Man Randy Savage with 3 WrestleMania main events. Randy Savage is one of the most highly regarded wrestlers in history. He's a former King of the Ring winner, he's a former Intercontinental Champion, he's a Hall of Famer, and he is a 2-time WWF Champion. Both of those he won at WrestleMania. He defeated Ted DiBiase in the final of the tournament to crown a new WWF Champion after the title was made vacant. He then went on to go lose the championship at next year's WrestleMania against Hulk Hogan before winning it back at WrestleMania 8 against Ric Flair. The WrestleMania 8 match wasn't the last match on the card, but was considered a co-main event alongside Hulk Hogan and Sid Justice because, well, Hulk Hogan, of course he has to go on last. Now coming in at number 9 is Roman Reigns, also with 3 main events. Roman Reigns has main evented 3 WrestleManias. In fact, he's actually main evented the last 3 in a row, and it's very plausible that he might main event a 4th. At WrestleMania 31, Roman Reigns challenged the Beast Brock Lesnar for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, and he didn't win because Seth Rollins came out midway through the match and cashed in, beat Roman Reigns, and won the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. However, next year's WrestleMania 32, he was successful in winning the WWE World Heavyweight Championship by defeating the Game Triple H. And then at the following year, he defeated The Undertaker at WrestleMania 33 in an absolutely spectacular match and one that potentially retired the dead man, although thankfully that looks like it's not going to be the case because it looks like we're going to get John Cena versus The Undertaker this year. And if Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns main event WrestleMania this year, that could potentially add Brock Lesnar to this list, and it will also catapult Roman Reigns higher up in this list too. Coming in at number 8 is Bret the Hitman Hart, also with 3 WrestleMania main events. While Bret Hart is in the list of the top 10 guys that have main evented WrestleMania the most, Bret Hart hasn't had much luck when it comes to WrestleMania. He lost the title at WrestleMania 9 to Yokozuna, and then to add further insult to injury, Hulk Hogan came out and stole his thunder, defeating Yokozuna in 22 seconds. But thankfully Bret Hart did recapture the WWF Championship against Yokozuna the next year at WrestleMania 10, which was a fantastic card which also featured Owen Hart versus Bret Hart, as well as the fantastic Razor Ramon versus Shawn Michaels ladder match. Speaking of HBK, a couple years later Bret Hart lost in his final WrestleMania main event against Shawn Michaels in a 60-minute Iron Man match. While Bret Hart may be the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be, when it comes to WrestleMania, that's not really the case. But speaking of someone that has a lot of luck at WrestleMania, coming in at number 7 is Stone Cold Steve Austin, also with 3 WrestleMania main events. While Bret Hart seems to lose a lot of titles at WrestleMania, Stone Cold Steve Austin does nothing but win them. Stone Cold Steve Austin has main evented 3 WrestleManias, and all 3 he has won the WWF Championship. At WrestleMania 14, Stone Cold Steve Austin defeated HBK to win his first WWF Championship, the last match that HBK would wrestle in WWE for over 4 years. The following year he won the title once again, this time from the People's Champion, The Rock. And then fast forward 2 years, he once again defeated The Rock for the WWF Championship and also turned heel, which in hindsight was a pretty shit move. But he won 3 titles at 3 WrestleManias, so that's a pretty damn good win record. Coming in at number 6 is The Undertaker with 4 WrestleMania main events. While The Undertaker has one of the most impressive WrestleMania streaks with 23 wins and 2 losses, his WrestleMania main event streak is actually pretty good too. At WrestleMania 13, he headlined his first WrestleMania defeat in Psycho Sid for the WWF Championship, but then he didn't main event WrestleMania for 11 more years. Fast forward to WrestleMania 24, the same show that saw Ric Flair retire, The Undertaker also won the World Heavyweight Championship from Edge. 2 years later, he defeated HBK in a career versus streak match, a follow-up from the previous year's WrestleMania, which is arguably one of the best WrestleMania matches of all time, if not one of the best wrestling matches. And then fast forward to last year's WrestleMania, where he lost to Roman Reigns, his first main event loss at WrestleMania and his second loss at WrestleMania overall. He's set to face John Cena this year's WrestleMania. Will it be 24-2 or will it be 23-3? Who knows? There's only one way to find out, and I could not wait for it. Coming in at number 5 is The Rock with 5 WrestleMania main events. You know, I said earlier that Bret Hart doesn't really have a good streak when it comes to WrestleMania. Well, The Rock's is even worse. At WrestleMania 15, he lost the WWF Championship to Stone Cold Steve Austin, and then the following year, he failed to capture it from Triple H in a fatal 4-way elimination match, which also included the recently retired Mick Foley coming out of retirement for one night only, and about a dozen or so one night onlys after that. And the Big Show, Triple H retained the title in that match. And then the next year at WrestleMania, he once again lost the WWF Championship to Stone Cold Steve Austin. And then it took 11 more years before The Rock got a WrestleMania main event win by defeating John Cena. But then the following year at WrestleMania 29, he lost the WWE Championship to the same man, John Cena. Now coming in at number 4, also with 5 WrestleMania main events, is the Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels. Although HBK has the nickname Mr. WrestleMania, I was actually quite surprised at the lack of WrestleMania main events that HBK has been in. Although it does go to show that you don't have to be in the main event of the best match of the show, and HBK has proved that time and time again. But the main events that he has been part of have been really good matches too. At WrestleMania 12, he captured his first WWF Championship by defeating Bret the Hitman Hart in a 60-minute Iron Man match, where neither men actually scored a pinfall in those 60 minutes, and the match had to run into overtime before HBK got the win. But fast forward in 2 years, HBK had to retire from wrestling for over 4 years, and he dropped the title to Stone Cold Steve Austin for Austin's first WWF Championship win. But thankfully HBK did return in 2002, but he didn't main event at WrestleMania until 2 years later in 2004 at WrestleMania 20, where he failed to win the World Heavyweight Championship from Triple H in a match that Chris Benoit won his first World Heavyweight Championship. Fast forward 3 years and HBK once again failed to win the title, this time the WWE Championship, by losing against John Cena. And then his final WrestleMania main event was 3 years later at WrestleMania 26, where his career was ended by The Undertaker in a streak versus career match. For Mr. WrestleMania, he's got a pretty terrible win-loss record. Coming in at number 3, also with 5 main events, is John Cena. Over the last 15 years or so, John Cena has been the guy, there's no doubt about that. And of course that means he's going to have his share of WrestleMania main events. At WrestleMania 22, he retained the WWE Championship against Triple H, and in the following year also retained the WWE Championship against the Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels. He actually got his first WrestleMania main event loss 4 years later by losing the WWE Championship against The Miz. And his bad luck continued because the following year he also lost against The Rock in a once-in-a-lifetime match, and then because this is WWE, we got twice in a lifetime, and John Cena finally beat The Rock and won the WWE Championship. Coming in at number 2 is Triple H with 7 main events. What less did you expect from WWE's Golden Boy? Of course, Triple H has been booked in 7 main events. I was actually quite surprised he wasn't first, or at least joint first, but depending on how this year's main event goes, he very well could be joint first. Triple H's first main event came at WrestleMania 2000 in a fatal 4-way elimination match for the WWE Championship. Triple H retained against The Rock, Mick Foley and The Big Show. Fast forward a couple of years and he won the undisputed WWF Championship from Chris Jericho at WrestleMania 18 in a match that arguably should have been the semi-main, with The Rock and Hogan being the main because the crowd was absolutely dead after that match. But a couple of years later, Triple H finally did the job, finally did the honours for Chris Benoit, and he lost his World Heavyweight Championship to Chris Benoit, and HBK was also in that triple threat match. That match is absolutely fantastic, go and watch it. Even though it's got Benoit in it, he was still a fantastic wrestler, and you owe it to yourself to sit down and watch this classic. His luck ran out again at WrestleMania 21 when he lost the World Heavyweight Championship to Batista, and the following year at WrestleMania 22 he failed to win the WWE Championship from John Cena. But then at WrestleMania 25, the 25th anniversary of the greatest show of the year, the spectacle that is WrestleMania, Triple H retained his WWE Championship against Randy Orton. Would you expect anything less from a show that's been built up so much? Of course Triple H had to main event it, and of course Triple H had to win. But even the King of Kings can see when it's time to do the job, when it's time to lie on your back and let someone else win. At WrestleMania 32, he lost the WWE World Heavyweight Championship to the boy, the new face of WWE, the one, the only Mr. Roman Reigns. Coming in at number 1 with 8 WrestleMania main events is Hulk Hogan. Would you expect anything less? Like I said, depending on how this year's WrestleMania main event goes, Triple H could join the top spot with Hulk Hogan. But for now, Hulk Hogan stands tall above all else with 8 WrestleMania main events, 5 of them actually in a row. At WrestleMania 1, Hulk Hogan was in the main event teaming with Mr. T against Rowdy Roddy Piper and Paul Orndorff. And then WrestleMania 2 happened, which was one of those really strange, there was 3 shows going on at once in 3 different locations. So there was 3 main events, but one of them, and the main event of the show, was Hulk Hogan versus King Kong Bundy in a steel cage where Hulk Hogan retained the WWF Championship. Then the following year, the match that we have all seen the clip from 1,000 times, where Hulk Hogan slammed Andre the Giant, not for the first time, but the first time that they want us to think it happened. And that was WrestleMania 3, where Hulk Hogan retained the WWF Championship against Andre the Giant. Macho Man won the title at WrestleMania 4 and held it all the way until next year's WrestleMania 5 when he dropped it to Hulk Hogan. Fast forward to WrestleMania 6, and that title that Hogan won from the Macho Man, he then lost to the Ultimate Warrior in a title versus title match. The Ultimate Warrior retained the Intercontinental Championship and also won the WWF World Heavyweight Championship. But then the next year, Hulk Hogan won it by defeating Sergeant Slaughter to win the WWF World Heavyweight Championship once again. Then the following year, he defeated Sid Justice in a match that was the main event, but really shouldn't have been the main event. The main event should have been Macho Man winning his 2nd world title, but it's Hulk Hogan, of course he's going to main event it, so it is what it is. And then Hulk Hogan's final main event was the 22-second match he had against Yokozuna. After Yokozuna won the title from Bret Hart, Hulk Hogan came down, declared it wasn't right because Yokozuna cheated, and then beat him in 22 seconds to win his final WWF World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania. So that is the list. Let us know what you think in the comment section down below. Like I said, by the time WrestleMania 34 rolls around, this list could be completely different, and Triple H might be in the top spot. The joint top spot with Hulk Hogan, Roman Reigns could be halfway up the list. Brock Lesnar may even be on this list. Who knows how this is all going to play out, but only time will tell. Let me know what you guys think of the list. Let me know if there's any other lists you want me to do, any other suggestions you've got. Let me know in the comment section. And if you've enjoyed this video today, make sure you hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. You can follow me on Twitter to keep up with all the things that I do on this channel, as well as all my other stuff on YouTube and beyond that at Doodles Music. You've been watching Break It Down Wrestling. I thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.
Break it down. Tell me what to do. You know who you're talking to.